Hey folks, the reason I'm kind of throwing this blog out there at you is basically it's to tell you about classes that are coming up in the very near future. But I hate to do something that's more like an infomercial or something like that. I'd rather have it something that has some teeth to it, a skill or a suggestion. You know, when you look at the state of the world today and all the things that have come down and collapsed in and around us, and it's getting closer and closer to home, the important thing you can remember in all of this, granted, I've been pushing certain skills very heavily this past year and a half. It's so easy to lose your center and balance and get overwhelmed by trying to, with so many skills to practice that you sometimes lose your way. You get overwhelmed, you get frustrated. It's a couple of things are important, and the first is the sacred time. That is a given, where every morning, if you can, every evening at sunset, like grandfather's unspoken rule, take 15, 20 minutes, a half hour if you can spare it, and I know that's a stretch, just to recenter yourself, to go into, a prayer, an introspection, to reaffirm your commitment and empower your vision. And besides that being the anchor in your life, I would suggest very strongly that you enter periods of silence throughout the day. Silence is not like surrender, where you surrender all time, destination, expectation, and yourself, so that you wait for what emerges from that abyss of surrender. In silence, it is a profound awakening. It is a person at their finest, where you shed the trappings of the unfriendly mind, the dealing with the past and the future, the judgments, the words, and everything else that are constantly going in our heads and captivating our emotions, and shed all that. And no matter if it's for a minute, 2 minutes, or 10 minutes, several times a day, to enter that profound silence. And the good indicator that you're in it is that your awareness suddenly explodes. It's an acute level of awareness like you can't even put into words. But to me, that is the piece of advice that grandfather gave me. And back in the 60s, it's unlike today. And he knew I was getting overwhelmed with all the things he was trying to get across to me. And he kept stressing the sacred time and the silence. And compounding that, because our minds get so filled, and when I say mind, I'm talking about mainly the physical mind, with questions and urgencies and demands and everything else, that it's important to take your questions to the temples of the soul, where it's like checking in with your true self a couple of times a day. Even if it's to say, how am I doing, or what have I missed, or what can I do better? But when you ask that question, you ask it at a temple's level, like you do all temples questions, where you ask it deep, profound, non-judgmentally, very kind and loving, and then surrender or enter the silence, whichever you prefer. If you surrender, you hit that piece of nothingness where you cease to exist. If you go into the silence, you still exist and watch it unfold instead of waiting for it to return. But whatever the preference is, those few minutes every day are so important to stabilize you and your family. We're connected by the Spirit that moves in and through all things. And what affecting you is affecting your family, your loved ones. And if you can remain that stable force, that light in the darkness, you're going to find that so much in your life and your family's life goes so much better. Now, the reason for this, blurb or whatever you want to call it, is because of conflict of schedule. I've had a couple appointments that kind of blindsided me. I was supposed to be doing 2 physical classes. One was on skills and one was the healing family members. And, what's nagging at me is the important one to me is healing family. And that, of course, goes out to your closest friends and things like that, people like that in your life. When you deal with healing family, you run into a problem where in some cases spiritually you violate laws where certain things are self-serving. And in other cases, you get too caught up emotionally in the pain and suffering of a family member. And given the circumstances that we're facing today, healing family is going to become one of the most important undertakings you can embrace because, as I said, you're going to be the stabilizing factor. So Dave and I decided instead of let that class fall by the wayside and come about, 6 months or a year from now, that we're going to do a very intense study into it. It's only going to be one day. And it's going to be March the 10th. It's a Saturday that we're going to meet live online at 1 o'clock. And we're going to go to, as usual, 6, but don't plan on that. It's probably going to go over. There's a hell of a lot that I want to get across. And in fact, some of the things are so immediately obtainable that you'll be able to go from the program right to your family members and start the whole process. You'll find that's an equal balance between healing the physical ailments and sufferings of family, but also the mental and emotional sufferings. Following that, and riding on the heels of this class that I just ended yesterday, the hidden secrets of the Spirit that moves in and through all things, that was a real eye-opener for folks. I know it was for me when Grandfather taught it, bringing us back after years of just leaving it sit in the background. This class coming up from the 12th to the 16th, The Hidden Secrets of Silence, is going to be one of the big ones for this year. As I said, it's one of the things you can do every day, several times a day, to stabilize yourself, to soothe over the madness that is surrounding you. And I want to get into areas of the silence that I don't have a chance to teach when I'm teaching, the final oneness or the other areas of applications where we use silence. There's several applications and understandings of silence that will really awaken you to the sheer power, magnitude of what that possesses. For Grandfather to stress that as equally as your sit area every day, and of course, let's not leave out the prayer of warning. That's a must also. But to have silence at that level, you knew that it was something big and special. And it's not called the sacred silence. The sacred silence is an area where the combination of the subconscious force and spirit, this is the silence that is sacred. And that's not a play on words. That's the reality of that. And to me, this is going to be a real eye-opening course in many ways. Then, this is not applicable to many of you unless you've taken the deep awareness class The last session that we have to make up for in deep awareness is going to be on the 17th. Now, we haven't decided yet whether we're going to go live with that or we're going to go recorded. If we record it, it gives me a lot more latitude to be able to get out in the field and to show you things without being tethered by, a camera, so to speak, with a line on it. So, and I'm thinking, leaning heavily, that it's going to be a pre-recorded, and we're going to do that on the 17th, and that we'll get right away. We'll know when it's coming out. Following that, on the same day and that afternoon, I'm going to do the extra session on the hidden secrets of the Spirit that moves in and all through all things. I didn't feel that I was able to get through all the things I wanted to in this class that just ended, so I want to put in another 2-hour session to round out that class. And for those of you who took that class, it's no cost to you whatsoever. I just want to feel good about the information. And you did so damn well that I'm really looking forward to this extra session. Also on the 17th, and that again is a Saturday, from 8 o'clock at night till whenever, I'm going to do an update. But I'm going to say 8 till it ends. I've got a lot to cover, and any person that's involved with the tracker community or family is welcome to tune in. Don't forget that. Put that in your notebooks and stuff, or on your schedule, because this is a very important update. I haven't done one in a long time, and this is well overdue. And finally, on the 18th, that Sunday, is something called the Home Bunker. If you think this class is going to be like something you pull out of a magazine someplace and putting up canned goods and stuff like that, you're sorely mistaken. This is a totally different approach to what you would consider a home bunker. This is a place to give you a temporary reprieve where you can gather up what you need in your head to make the run for it, so to speak, and have on hands something that'll not only keep you alive and your family alive, but also safe and hidden. And there's a couple of factors that's involved with that, some intense psychological warfare, and it's going to be a quite interesting class because basically, I don't even have to design it. I can just take it out of my notes from what grandfather said about it. So anyway, gang, again, healing family in this day and age on the 10th, it's so crucial. That's why I don't want to see it fall by the wayside. The hidden secrets of silence, the big one, the 12th to the 16th. The 17th, we're doing the pre-recorded deep awareness and the addition to the force, as well as at night from 8 till whenever, an emergency update. And then on the 18th, the home bunker. Gang, stay very aware. Please enter the realm of silence in the temples of your soul frequently. I want to put a side note out about that prayer of warning. Yeah, the prayer of warning will work when you're about to blunder into a lethal danger. It's going to give you a heads up. But there's certain other things that are on the line that are less dangerous, that you're going to have to take the time and pause and enter your temple and ask, what have I missed? Because in a couple of instances, people have been warned that I've heard of very intense and pending danger, car accidents and this and that and the other thing, but other things, they've missed it. And the reason they missed it is their lives are so full of distraction, that damn demon, that you've got to take the time to back off and say, wait, and then go in and see if there's a tension, uneasiness, a feeling that something isn't quite right, and then ask it. Don't think that you're going to get served this with every, bruised knee and things like that. No, you got to work a little bit for it. You got to check in. Thanks a lot, gang. I hope to see you in one of or more of these things coming up. They're so critical. Take care of yourselves and bless you.